me launch the objectives of the session. Okay, 1 minute, friends. So which gives us the flow, what exactly we are talking in the today's session. Yeah. Uh, so the user-defined functions. So with this, just we are making use of how we can register the maybe some kind of the logic, because why we need user-defined functions, friends? Basically, what is the reason behind that? Why we have to talk about the user-defined functions? Because so many built-in functions are there, so many predefined functions are there, where you can get them and keep handy. But the thing is, guys, highly customized. Okay, because while designing the projects, maybe sometimes if I'm taking some kind of the data, maybe names. Okay, so like this. Like this, I'm having some names. Maybe I want to convert this name into some capital letters, or maybe beginning letter as capital, something requirement. Maybe because user defined function is particular to the project or particular to the module, friends. It's a need base actually. Like, we are not having maybe if I am having the length of the string, or reverse, or else some kind of the list operations or dictionary. Okay, these things are available. But if you want to perform some kind of the logics, or if I want to apply according to the requirement, you want to handle the data, then always the high customized code is required. So for that particular purpose, to implement the user defined logic, okay, on top of that particular data, just you can make use of the user defined functions. And very simple, guys, like, like how in Python we are making use of the functions, definition, some kind of the function name, and we can give the argument list here, and then just you uh, all the place all the statements, and then return the appropriate value. Okay, once this is done, just I can call this function name, and you can give some arguments, maybe whatever the arguments. Maybe I'm taking the experience and as well as the name of the person, like that. Okay, maybe after giving this thing, I want to add some appraisal, or maybe based on this thing next year. So 6 years should be there, and I want to add like this. Okay, maybe automation kind of thing, where automatically the 1 year after completion of 1 year, in our app also we are getting that. Okay, anniversary or birth date. So just they are nothing but on this particular system date. Okay, whose birthday is there? Only we are filtering those kind of the aspects. Okay, only we are filtering those kind of aspects, and we are displaying all the members, member 1, member 2, member 3, and we are getting this message exactly after 12, right? So that means they would have set this schedule, and they applied some sort of the filter. If I'm talking in the terms of the Pyspark, then system date and birthday. If these two are equal, then we need to get all the details of the corresponding employees. And one more message we are getting, guys, like, anniversary kind of thing. Okay, exactly. If he is completed 1 year, or maybe 2 years, or whichever. So your sys date or date of join are equal. Okay, so then obviously, guys, so whenever we are reaching to this particular thing, I need to display the members who are having the similar kind of aspects. Okay, so members and all. So these things are nothing but Definitely they are not predefined. So smaller, generally friends, if you observe the user defined functions, we won't write much code. Okay, so very one or two lines of the code, because with that one or two lines of the code, you can achieve these kind of the functionalities. Okay, maybe anniversary, or maybe it might be, like the birthday, all these kind of the displays. Okay, for these kind of the conventions, you can make use of the user defined functions. Now, friends, here, how many of you are aware of how a function executes actually? Because a typical function, there is a, concept like, suppose I want to call a function. So in general, if I'm talking about the programming languages, from the current location, just if I'm calling a function one, it move to the definition of the function and it is going to execute. Finally, the result will be sent back to the corresponding function. Okay, so this is nothing but the context switch where it reaches to the function definition, and whatever the statements I'm having, just they are running. And again, the control move back to the called function. Okay. So the considerations here is just we are moving ahead and processing the data. But the problem here is if your logic is pretty simple, it is very simple logic, or maybe in terms of the timing, to call this function, we were having 2 nanoseconds, assume that, and to run this 2 nanoseconds, and the result sending back is 2 nanoseconds, like that. So actual function is taking less time when compared with the original function. I mean, all the other activities. So here, to avoid these kind of the conventions, we're having the lambda functions actually. Okay, so lambda functions are something like, so as to reduce, so as to whatever the timing we are taking because of calling and getting back the result. Rather, what I can say is, just I can make use of the convention with the lambda function, which is the inline function. Okay, so as to avoid the much amount of the timing and all, because you need to study about these functions, friends. Reason behind this is many at times we are not following the rules of the functions. Functions are basically meant for the task implementation, and after performing each task, it should return some value. But at the same time, if you are not able to handle the functions in a proper way, then obviously, friends, it is causing some kind of the trouble. Okay, trouble in the sense, yeah, maybe if I am not giving the arguments, if I am not returning some value, there is no significance actually. So see, just if we are doing some work, we should do that work mindful and heartful. It's not for the sake of okay, let it be like that, not like that, guys. So while implementing the topics also, while working with some kind of the constructs also, we should know that what is the main task of that. And here the simple secret, guys, like, if you are not knowing the specific aspects of that particular construct, and you will be roaming around all the constructs, because if you are aware of what exactly that construct does, and how it is helping us to implement the tasks, then you can easily get that thing and implement. Rather, if you are not knowing what exactly the requirement of that, again, you need to go back and verify every time. So rather, what you can do is completely study the aspects and then see the functionality and what is the significance of that. Then you can make a use of the construct, whatever it is there. Okay, so with this, just other points are there, friends. Like as I said, there are some miscellaneous utilities. Like we'll be talking about explode, which is very, very helpful. And then we are using the select expression. And then we'll be using the map type. And then we are talking about the array type. Uh, some other aspects I have taken. Okay, no problem. One by one, we'll see. Just we'll take one example. We'll see the implementation so that it will be easy for us to utilize these kind of the aspects whenever there is a requirement. Okay, moving ahead. So just we are making use of the cluster. Let cluster already started, and I need to add that cluster. Yes, cluster got added. Okay, so UDF, as said earlier, guys, one small code actually we can run. And one more thing, guys, along with the two blocks, one is the Apache Spark and second is the our Databricks. These two, maybe sometimes they will give the low level details as they are the designers. They always talk more on the low level details. Apart from that, guys, I found this Spark by example is excellent a blog where you can get all the worked out examples. And I use it to pick up the example from that particular site also, so that we also have the look on that. And Jigs for Jigs also is a common platform, but sometimes they give the erroneous kind of the code guide. Just be cautious about that. Just because many members, maybe who are studying engineering and who are MTechs, they use it to contribute to that blog. Okay, so sometimes they won't care about the results and all, but just to before acquiring or before learning that particular aspect, before preparation, just to recheck that once you observe that particular code, and if that code is okay, then only you use and implement that particular code. And one of the important point I want to highlight here is, guys, in the today's session, whatever the topics we are talking, more or less the discussion so far what we had are going to reflect in the current scenarios, because you may not feel this is a new topic or something like that, because predefined functions or built-in functions are nothing but just they are for the particular purpose we are using. So in our aspects, like if we are using the select statement or with column renamed, or all these kind of the expression usage remains same. There is no differentiation. Okay, that is the advantage, guys. Maybe in terms of machine learning or in the data engineering constructs or in the map reduce programming, your Pyspark programs are not going to change anything. Okay, they are remain same, their syntax and their way of writing the code. Why I am saying this is altogether, if you consider the RMI remote method invocation with respect to the servlets, there is a lot of distinction in the syntax and program. Whereas in this particular PySpark, the advantage is if you consider the Spark session creation, Spark context, and then use loading the RDD, loading the data frame, similar kind of the coding, friends, only with one or two changes. Even while working with the JSON, and if you are working with the Parquet, reading of the data or writing of the data, with one or two parameter change, everything is common. So that's what you over the period what you can feel is whether you are working with the RDDs or whether you are working with optimizations or machine learning, you can easily observe that yes, these aspects are pretty simple, because the commonly used constructs or commonly used algorithms are like that, and the constructs are same and similar. You can replicate all these things up to any level of the programming. So that's what people with less code, because heavy customizations are there. And the parallel research, guys, why I like this Databricks and Spark tool is they're having plenty of researchers, and they are all very passionate by seeing their blogs and by seeing their research and all. Even I use it to have the I use it to attend the webinars also, because those webinars are much content, and they are giving us only with crisp 10 to 15 minutes. Just they explain us what's going on, and even as I said earlier, before release of the product into the market, we can see the results and we can talk about the advancements, whatever they are going to release, maybe month or two like that. Okay, so with this, just I'm referring to all these aspects, and this is not new for us. Integer type, string type, we have used these things in structure field, structure type, where if I want to create a schema by one, and there is a class here, guys, which is we are importing. from Pyspark.sql.functions, just we are importing the UDF, okay, user defined function from this particular set of the functions. And now, as usual, just we are taking the column name and as well as the schema, just is nothing but a schema, and then data, okay, name and as well as the score. And then what we are doing here is, guys, a common construct where I can make use of the create data frame just by sending the data along with the schema information. So just we can see here name and score of the corresponding members. Up to this, this is a common convention. Okay, there is nothing new. Just we have taken some columns, some kind of the schema along with the data. We have created a data frame. Now the point is, guys, just observe here. We are writing a function actually. That particular function is nothing but a converter where it is taking some string value. Okay, string as the input. So every function after performing the aspects, it should return a value. Okay, so definition to instruct the corresponding Spark or Python. Okay, just I am using the function because you know, guys, in the creation of the class, in the creation of the functions, just they are all predefined in nature, and moreover, they are having some kind of the support from the language. Whereas in terms of the variables and all, you need not define any variable. And even in data frames and RDD also, according to the corresponding instruction you are using, it will be decided. Like, you know, maybe it is a RDD or it is a data frame or whichever. Now the point is, guys, but whereas if you are using a class or if you are using a function, explicitly we need to define that. Okay, so just we are defining a definition. Converter function we are using, just it is taking a string value, and initially we are assigning that with the empty string. Now there is a function called split actually. Split is a function where I can make use of whatever the data item I'm giving based on your specification that is going to split into multiple parts. Okay, so let me run this, guys, so that we can see the advantage. At least documentation we have to see, and logic and all I am explaining, however. But to see the documentation, these statements should be alive. Now split, just if you are taking the specification, return a list of words in the string, using separate as the delimiter string. Okay, so just I am giving the separator, maybe comma or tab or whichever space kind of thing. The delimiter according which to split the string. If you are not giving means split according to any white space. So these are all the things they may ask in the exam also, guys, like what is the default value of the split. I mean, on what basis split is performing is a white space. If you are not giving anything means white space, and you can specify the maximum split also, where we generally won't do that, guys, because I cannot say that how many data items are there, how many values are there. It is always preferable to mention the type of the split. Okay, so and if you are leaving also no problem, automatically Spark detects that what particular white space and accordingly it is going to split the appropriate statement, and it is returning a list of words. This is also a kind of the function, guys. Okay, returns a list of the words. So here what I'm taking is whatever the string I am taking, just I am splitting that string based on the white space. Now see here, guys, A is containing word. A is containing word. Now for loop you pretty know, na? Just we are running this particular for loop, and every time the value is copied into Q, because directly I cannot pick up the value of A, because I have to iterate. I have to iterate, so that I'm using a particular object Q. And if Q is maybe after getting that particular split value, if Q is equivalent to J, C or M, maybe I am putting that, maybe that is a machine learning engineer or maybe some kind of the Java developer or some kind of the C developer, like that. I'm having some beginning letter. Okay, those beginning letters are not ambiguous. They are having fixed meaning. Assume that. Now, if that is the case, then I am updating my result only first letter. Okay, just I want to convert the uppercase, and this remains same, guys. If you are making use of the indexing and all, they are all basic aspects. Starting index is 0, next is 1, and 1 colon 2. If I am saying only one letter, first letter, that I want to convert into the uppercase, and I want to return the result. Okay, so this is not the user defined function, guys. This is a function in Python. Of course, we are implementing this. I can say this also as a Python based function. Okay, just I am using the definition and all those things. But how do I link this particular function? Okay, whatever written by the user into the UDF of the Pyspark. Okay, because our intention is not to work with the Python functions, whatever we are saying. Of course, in a particular context, I can say this is the user-defined function converter. Actually, for my purpose, for my customization, I have designed this customized function. Now, how do I link this particular function with my PySpark? Because our interest is of course, generally we have to use the Python based constructs so as to perform the logics. Here also, from the beginning of the session, we are dependent on the dictionaries and we are dependent on the list. Sometimes we are making use of the data frame of the pandas. Likewise, we are having quite integral parts in Python and PySpark. And at times, we were not able to distinguish between whether this code belongs to the PySpark or Python. That much integration is there. That is the key success factor behind the PySpark. You need not worry about how I need to design the constructs and in what way I can perform the activities. These are all the appropriate the more flexible things where the nice integration is there between Python and Spark, guys. Okay, this is definitely a pure Python orientation. Now what we are doing is now we'll convert it into our UDF function, which will in turn reduce our workload on data. Okay, and for this we are using the lambda function. So guys, here in the session objectives, we have seen that there are some kind of the bottlenecks related to the function. Like if I am talking about the corresponding function, and the function need to carry the arguments to the uh, for function definition, and then it has to execute the appropriate instructions, and then it is going to return the value, and that value should again send back to the function which has called us. So all these particular things are taking much time, and there is a bigger problem whenever your actual task is taking less time compared with the other activities. Okay, so that is what how we are how we need to fine tune the usage of the function. For that particular purpose, we are having the lambda function. And moreover, now you see the normal function is having some kind of the bottleneck, as I said, with the help of the UDF, okay, which will in turn reduce the workload of the data. One thing, as I said, guys, maybe the data engineers or machine learning perspectives, skill set is okay. You are excellent programmer and you know in and out of what's happening. But one important point we have to keep in mind is you are using the cluster actually. We are using the cluster and that cluster is chargeable, and you have to be very cautious while you utilizing the resources. So in that particular case, friends, whatever the possibilities, always, uh, the normal programmers like Java and Python, they need not worry about their best practices or reducing the loads. Okay, because they work with purely logic. Okay, so but here our work is not only the logic, guys. Of course, logic everywhere plays important role. But apart from that, we are dealing with heavy data, huge amounts of the data, and many stakeholders involved in our activities. And we are making use of, some sort of the clusters. Okay, and we are utilizing the resources, all these kind of the conventions. Now, a typical data engineer or machine learning engineer from day one, you should have the best practices, friends. That's what I scoped the presentations related to the best practice, so that you can also have a look on that. So the best practices helps us, especially the adaptive query execution, hash join, okay, broadcasting, accumulator, persistence, cache mechanisms. All these things definitely helps us to perform the activities with the less utilization of the resources. That is what, friends, though programming is simple in terms of the Pyspark, but we are having many constructs, because based on the market condition, if I want to perform some sort of so like customizations and all those kind of the conventions, then I have to depend on the utilities and all. Now, if you refer this thing, how do I convert this particular this function, whatever I'm talking about in Python, into the PySpark orientation? Have a look on this, guys. Your UDF already we have imported this UDF from this PySpark.SQL.functions. Many a times, guys, we have seen this thing. Pyspark.sql.types, Pyspark.sql.functions. Okay, so your entire aspects are revolving around Pyspark.sql, whether you are using the Spark SQL or not. And in other cases, like, if you are using the data frame also, we are making use of this convention. Now let us understand how I can refer the UDF. What is the functionality of this UDF? Okay, so this is a union, just a callable kind of thing, and the returning. And one more thing, guys, the data type or string. It by default it is returning the string type, and creates a user defined function. And you can give this user defined function. That user defined function can be equipped with Python function if used as a standalone function. Okay, and return type pyspark.sql.types.data type or string. Okay, string is by default. The return type of the user defined function, the value can be either a data type object or else DDL formatted type string. What is the DDL format type string? So just is a typed kind of thing, guys, where is a kind of the always the immutability is there na, in terms of RDD and data frames. So just some kind of the example also you can see here. Okay, just this. And one more thing, with the help of the decorators also you can do the same, guys. Okay, just whatever the functionality we are writing, maybe I can use the plain Python function and I can convert that function into the user defined function. Okay, now you observe here, just we are making use of converter, which already we have defined, where it is requiring some kind of the argument. Yes, of course, we have given the argument, and we are making use of the lambda function. So this particular lambda function is the inline function. Then and there it is going to run the appropriate logic. And the entire thing we are converted as the user defined function. The entire aspects we are making use of the user defined aspect. And guys, no matter whether I'm using the built-in function, user defined function or predefined function, it is as per norms that function should return some value. That function should return some value. So after implementing, uh, after conversion of the lambda orientation, what we are doing is we are making use of that function as UDF, and in turn we are returning the corresponding value. Okay, so this is how you can very simple. Na? So however, we are knowing how to create a function, and then we are assigning that particular function to the UDF, and generally after execution of every task, the function should return some value. Now, here is the usage, guys. Actually, I'm having the data frame here, my name and as well as the score. Now, accordingly, already we observed that if your name is starting with J, C or M, okay, whatever the initial functionality, then the second character, if it is Jack means A should be capital, Mira, I should be capital, character A should be capital. That is my requirement. Maybe I want to specify, just we are taking some kind of the example here. Now, what we are doing here is, guys, just now we are having the user defined function here because the outcome is this. Now with column, what it does, with column is a functionality. So just where you can perform a renaming of the columns or creation of the columns, or if I want to add a calculated column. Okay, how we have seen in the salary, okay, clear salary kind of thing, and all these kind of the conventions. Okay, so this thing returns a new data frame by adding a column or replacing the existing column that has the same name. The column expression must be an expression over this data frame. Attempting to add a column from some other data frame will raise an error. This is a general truth, guys, because we cannot utilize other than the current data frame. So whatever the data frame you are using, the same thing should reflect into the implementation. So just some examples. Now what we are doing is we want to create a additional column special names, and to this number DEF I am giving the name. Actually this particular name is related to the data frame, guys. Okay, we are having the name of the a name field in the data frame. Just we are making use of that name. Okay, now what it does is just it is taking the name raw score as it is, and the special names. Okay, just the special names is applicable. It is applying the resultant, and it is only returning a single character. So that is a special name in the name of the second character every time. Okay, A. Just it is giving some outcome. So any logic, guys, maybe just I have used some kind of the existing logic, and like this whatever here the procedure is important. Okay, first the creation of the function, and before that we have to import the UDF, and then we are going to create a function and make use of that function into the UDF, and you can directly utilize that particular UDF in your data frame. Okay, nicely how we are using your normal data frames. Okay, for the selection of the data, or else to work with column, all these kind of the conventions. Now there are certain aspects with respect to decorators, friends, actually. So as already we have seen in this example also, we can see the @UDF. So, and nothing differentiation, you can easily observe here UDF directly. Return type, okay, just I am taking the string type, and we are using the same kind of the function here, guys. But only the thing is I need not explicitly mention the UDF while using the decorator kind of thing. So directly what I can do is just I am on top of this particular Python definition of the function, just I can refer the @UDF, and I can mention what is the return value of this particular converter function. So obviously we are getting this string type. So now directly I can apply the appropriate aspect. So this thing is not changing, guys. Df dot with column special names, and but only one differentiation is there, guys. Like, in the first category of the UDF integration with respect to the Python function, I should give the return type number UDF, whatever the return object I am getting. But in this particular case, as you are nicely integrating your UDF along with the Python function, just it is enough to mention the name of the Python function. Okay, just with column, we are making use of the names, and along with that, just I am giving the converter function, Python function, and we are sending the arguments to this converter. So, but generally, guys, if you are not utilizing this @, obviously what happens is explicitly we need to use the UDF, and for that UDF only you need to send the Python function as an argument. But the advantage of this decorator functions and these things is on top of this particular Python function, if I am able to specify, that is your wish, guys. Generally we prefer these kind of the convention. Why? Because there is no need of explicit writing of the code, like again UDF and sending this lambda and all. Rather directly I can mention the class and with column, just along with the special names and as well as the usage of the Python function. Though it is a Python function outlook, but still with the integration of this particular @UDF, it is internally taking the UDF functionalities only. Okay, so this is, if you see the same logic here, so just we can observe the same kind of the outcome in either case. Okay, so this is small and simple example how you are referring the UDF orientation. Okay, now let me share this particular thing, guys. Which are all the steps we have followed. So periodically, because many things we are going to talk before the break. at least 7 to 8 constructs we are seeing. So obviously it is creating you some kind of the uh, uh, retiro kind of thing. So that instantly I'm talking about. So UDF, one is UDF of Python function. This is the first category. Um, in this first category, guys, you need to import UDF. Okay, after importing this particular thing, just we are writing the Python function logic. And once that is over, you need to integrate. You need to integrate the Python logic with UDF, guys. Okay, of course, return value is there. And as the last step is a common step for all this. Apply the UDF on top of data frame, on top of the data frame. So this is how we have done in the first phase. But in the second phase, just what I have done is at the rate UDF. Okay, we are mentioning the return type. And then we are writing the Python function. And next thing is use UDF with data frame. That's all. Okay, so in the second way, just we can avoid the number of times and even usage of the lambda also. And one more thing, guys, here lambda usage is strongly discouraged in the clusters because lambda actually creates a bump in the usage of the resources. In that particular case, just be cautious. Though lambda or comprehensive list are very handy, uh, but think through, guys, just you while working with any heavy data or machine learning kind of the applications, apart from the code, less lengths of the code or something. But another important point is, guys, here just we should be very cautious about how best we are using our cluster. Okay, so that is how you can see. Now going back to the other considerations, quite interesting. These are all simple bytes kind of thing. Okay, now so just have a look on this, guys. LIT function. So LIT is nothing but literal. Actually, that literal. If you are considering the literal, guys, maybe that is a constant or that might be some value where I want to add this literal to the actual result. Uh, what it does is just I'm having some data and maybe along with that outcome, I want to add some value. Okay, so suppose if you are living in sector 1 and that's in that sector 1, we are having many addresses, but that sector 1 is by default LIT. For every address, I want to replicate the same. So in those kind of the cases, we can use the LIT. So which are used to add a new column to the data frame by assigning a literal or constant value. A literal or constant value. And this LIT is available in import Pyspark.sql.functions. Now just we are taking the data and along with the columns employee ID and as well as the salary, and just we have created a data frame. Okay, so just let us run this so that in our hand just we are having the employee ID and as well as the salary. Now, so the documentation also here only I am giving, guys. I have given. So Spark LIT, PySpark LIT function is used to add constant or literal value as a new column to the data frame. Just it is going to add a separate value or a new column kind of thing. Now, one more option I'm saying here, like your column and as well as the LIT. Okay, so just if you consider the usage of this column. Have a look on this, guys. Column pyspark.sql.column returns a column based on the given column name. Okay, so just it is for the sake of picking up the column information. And if you observe, guys, while observing the filter condition or while performing the with column or select statement, there we have used df of salary or df dot salary, like that. With respect to the access of the corresponding features, either I can go with the df dot or else I can use the df of. Either of the things is okay. Apart from that, one more option is also there, that is the COL. So COL generally returns the column. Here, if you are working with a df of column name or df dot column name, whatever the activity it is doing, the same activity you can observe with the column also. Okay, with the help of the column. So now if you see the syntax, okay, we are just selecting a few fields, employee ID, salary. Of course, both the those two fields are only there. And now let us see what this lit does. So lit column, so just it is also a column type, and which creates a type of literal. And here you can easily see the example, guys. Select literal of 5, height, and with column. Just I am using the Spark user and true. Suppose if the corresponding value is as per availability, just we are taking that. So height and as well as the Spark user equal to true. Now this particular literal, what it does is just it is adding some value, guys, along apart from whatever the columns you are having, just it is going to add one value. Okay, and alias lit value. So just it is if you are not giving that, entire equation will come into the picture. So rather what you can do is just you can mention the alias. Now employee ID, salary along with the literal value. Now just we are seeing the outcome of this. So if you are referencing the data frame, we are having the employee and salary. Along with that, we are having the literal. Maybe you can ask this question, why we need to concatenate? So this we can do this with the concatenation also. No, friends, actually, the point is like this. Suppose if I want to reflect any special character or any kind of the constant along with my records. Okay, there are at times where you can mention the usage of this lit along with the corresponding data or record. Then you can this lit become quite handy. And we are moving ahead. So just to, and lit will come back, guys. One more case study is there. Just I want to introduce this lit and as well as the column. Column is very much similar to your df dot employee id or df of employee id. Rather than referring every time the same kind of the conventions, just I can make use of this COL specification, right? Okay. And split already we have seen, but this time what we are doing is some sort of the date column also we have given. And in the earlier session of the case study, there are certain aspects called year and as well as the month. Okay, just we can import that year, month, all those kind of thing where it is picking up the appropriate portion. But the same thing you can perform with the split also, guys. So just we are running some kind of the data. We are having some sort of the data with us. And most importantly, schema is also required. So just what we are taking is first name, middle name, last name, and date of birth. Now the schema, of course, accordingly, just we have created the data frame along with the data and as well as the columns information. This is as usual. Now there is a clause here. So just again, majority of the constructs we are importing from the Pyspark.sql.functions. Here also we have done the same thing, and we are splitting. Okay, what exactly the split does is it is taking the column name in terms of the string. Okay, just double quotes or single quote pattern, and I can mention the limit also, maximum limit kind of thing, and splits a string around matches of the given pattern, maybe the comma or space or tab, whichever. Okay, some kind of the parameters, a string expression to split, pattern, a string representing a regular expression, and which is a string should be a Java regular expression. Regular expressions are nothing but some sort of wildcard characters, percentage, okay, all these kind of the things. Okay, now the ultimate functionality of this particular split is splits the given string around matches of the given pattern, okay, maybe comma, space, or tab, whichever. Now we have seen that, and everywhere, friends, we are making use of this with column functionality actually. So with column, there is a distinction actually. With column and with column renamed we have seen. Uh, with column renamed, what it does is just it is taking the original data and as well as the renamed data. Whatever the data I want to rename, that is a second argument. Whereas in terms of the with column, I'm having the first argument as my a new column. So if you consider here, I am taking the first name, middle name, last name, DOB as the schema, but there is no column called year here and no column called month, no column called day, but they are all inherently available with the date of birth. But what I want to do is I want to pick that particular year, month and day. Okay, now accordingly, how I am splitting this particular thing is already my data frame is containing the information. Okay, DOB and all those kind of the convention. So year, okay, new column should be created, and I am splitting this particular data of birth based on the hyphen. Okay, so because 1991 hyphen 04 hyphen 01. So just after that, again after splitting, we'll be getting three components actually. One is the year, month, and date. But the point here is, guys, I want to get only the year information, only first split. And we pretty know that every Python index start from 0. So just we are getting that the same principle here also apply. But within the split, we are having the get item actually. Okay, related to this with the column. Okay, there is one more clause called get item of 0. So only we are picking up of that 1991 and it is going to place in year. Similarly, get item of 1 relevant to the month, just it is going to place in month, whatever the column you have created. Next is get item of 2 within the DOB after the 0 and 1, the last field related to your day. Okay, just get item of 2. So likewise, just we are making use of all these conventions. So apart from your first name, middle name, last name, and date of birth, we are having the year, month, and as well as the day. So sometimes, guys, there is a chance of uh, in a particular context, okay, where I want to split the information and within the entire month, maybe how we are having that January month. Okay, first time if you are meeting with the client, maybe 10th of Jan or 15th of Jan, we will say, okay, Happy New Year kind of thing. So just the entire month it is getting reflected. Same time, maybe for the sake of the appraisal, maybe for the sake of the project allocation, we may consider the month. Okay, and after reaching to that particular month in the year, okay, so definitely we need to reflect or we have to trigger something. In those kind of the aspects, I can make use of this split. And many case studies you can say, guys, like whatever the data item, and if I want to split the data based on the designation, maybe employee ID designation. Some of the companies within the employee ID only they fix the designation. Okay, something like SME I5262 like that. So subject matter expert along with the ID. So but whereas if you want to get how many such kind of SMEs are there, so just to split that and on top of that you can apply all the other like get item or whichever the functionality we have seen. Moving ahead, guys, this is a typical understanding of the data types because so far we have seen pretty know that integer is there, string, float, all these are the common data types. Along with that, we studied about the struct type, struct field, all these things also we have seen. Now, one more aspect we are having, which is nothing but the array type. Friends, the programmers who are having the background of C, CPP, or even Java also, Even in Python also we are having the arrays in NumPy. This particular array is nothing but the homogeneous kind of the data, and especially to store the numbers in terms of numerical Python. If I'm talking, your array is something like which is making use of like some sort of homogeneous kind of the data. Especially numerical Python is dedicated to the number type of the data. But at times my array can contains the integers, floating, even some characters also, provided the same homogeneous kind of the data. But the main purpose of the array, guys, when compared with the list kind of thing, as array is only focusing on the homogeneous kind of the data, and most of the times, at least in numerical Python, we are running some statistical functionalities on top of the data. So obviously we are having that benefit of non-checking of the data item, because array type is common for every data item. Okay, like integer, if I'm talking integer, floating array float, character array character only. But list is not like that. Na? Maybe I'm having the mixed kind of the data. Maybe I can store the number and name, and thereafter the floating value. Like that, there is a combination, and definitely the language should handle all these different combinations. But whereas if I'm working with the array as a common type of the data items I'm using, so obviously the language should not remember all these kind of things, and straight away, just by observing one single type of the variable, okay, it confirms that, oh, this guy is using the array, so that I can make use of the convention. Like I need not worry about the type of the data, as it is integer whole. Now coming to the array type, so keep that homogeneous nature in mind, friends, because you know, if you are comfortable with the fundamentals, if you are strong in the fundamentals, you can go to any level, guys. There is no doubt about that. But provided no matter whether you are learning deep learning or image processing or NLP techniques or machine learning or data engineering, if you are strong in, okay, the functions, variables, literals, okay, all these kind of the aspects, definitely they are they on top of that particular platform, you can establish your own learning. Okay. Now, Pyspark array type is a collection of the data type that extend the data type class, of course, which is super class of all types in Pyspark. All elements or array type should have the same type of elements. Of course, the same thing remains valid here also. Now, what we are doing here is, guys, just we are as usual, just we are picking up some importing of the SQL types into string type and as well as the array type. Now let us have a look on this. The array type, so which is taken from pyspark.sql.types.data type, array data type. Okay, I cannot say whether the integer, float or something. Array data type. It is taking the element type, which is basically a data type of each element in that array contains null, where the array can contain null values. Maybe this, something like this, guys. If I want to create the empty dictionary, if I want to create the empty list, okay, so in that case, I can do that. Similarly, in our array type also, I can mention this particular thing as a null, so that obviously that array type becomes the empty array. But we are not using that in our examples, guys. Directly, we are making use of some data. We are interested in data only, not the logics or programming skill. We are a typical data engineer, machine learning mindset. For us, the data is important, and how do I bring value from data is most important, right? Okay. Now, array column, just I am, as said earlier, just we are taking the array type, two arguments. First is the type of the array. Second is null. Actually, false if I am giving, just you can say my array is not null array. Okay, I want to store some data, and however it is returning the some kind of the column. Okay, so typical, and moreover, guys, uh, this particular array type is linked with the data type actually. So the data type of the corresponding thing. So just to click on this, so this is linked with the data type. And for any kind of the data type, we are not giving the return type actually. You can ask this question, because integer, float or string if I am using, I'm not specifying any return value there as integer type of some kind of the integer, and false. I am not using that. Only why we are using array type is, guys, this is the group of data, because the group of the data, and to that group of the data also I should have some common object to refer. For that particular purpose, this array column, of course, by default, it is pointing to the base of that array. From that, it is, if it is integer, this is a typical C syntax. If it is integer, 2 bytes will be taken. If it is float, 4 bytes. If it is character, 1 byte it moves. Similarly, here array column. So just we have created one object. So this object is maintaining the information of the array type. Okay. Of course, we clearly mentioned that I am using the string type of the data, and I want to store my array type outcome as a reference of this array column. Now we are generating the corresponding data item here, guys. So just with the notion, and related to this particular data, I am creating a schema actually. Now observe here, uh, because we are not giving any explicit schema. Just we want to create the schema like this. Have a look on this, guys. Struct type, just all our struct fields. Of course, no matter whether I'm using the string type, array type, string type, all these things. Here name, of course, belongs to the string type. Languages at school, maybe like this. Mm, we are making some research, guys. Actually, that research is something like this. Maybe in the CBSE syllabus, the people may have the C++ or Python coding, whereas in maybe the candidate would have cleared the national NTA exam, JEE, and he got in some Surathkal, NIT Surathkal, and of course, assume that that guy is from other state, maybe not from the Karnataka, maybe from other state, maybe Tamil Nadu or Andhra or Telangana, something like that. Now the point is, Dean asked the members, like how many students are having the knowledge on Python, because if they are coming from the CBSE background, definitely they are having CPP or Python course. And the universities like NITs and IITs, they in the first semester itself they put the course as the more advanced courses they put in the first sem itself. But the problem for the faculty is because the entire India would be there in NITs and IITs, now, so that they should segregate. Okay, the people who are not at all having the background of the Python, they should conduct the primer sessions for them without disturbing the normal people. Normal in the sense they are who are having the CBSE syllabus, who are having Python in their curriculum, so that for them normal sessions. For these guys who are not having the Python background, okay, for them we should do something so as to empower them, or so as to place them along with the members who are already having the knowledge on Python. So something like that. The seminar, the appropriate scenario is like that, guys. So language at school and language at work. Okay, maybe we can easily connect in this way. So language at school, this is array type, because maybe I can take this as a second language. Maybe we all use it to take Sanskrit, okay, or else something else, which is easily scoring. Apart from the English, just will be taking that Sanskrit, or the people who are having the other interest, maybe Hindi or something else we can take. So like that, we are having definitely set of the language to opt. So that is the reason why we are taking the array type, and my array type here is the string. Okay. Now language at work, this is also array type string, and current state and as well as the previous state, because as I said, na, current state is where that guy is studying currently, and previous state means from which place he has deputed to this university or college. So context is like this. We are having the name as a string type, languages at school, languages at work, these belonging to the array type. Current state and previous state, I need not use the array type, guys. Array type you are using whenever there is a repetition of the data. Whenever I want to store some kind of the data as a kind of the set. then only I can go with the array type. Now let us see guys how we are making use of that usage. Uh, just let me run this first. Okay, I am importing all the string type. These things are already known to us, na? So just the type pyspark.sql.types. We are importing string type, type, struct field, but we are new to this array type. So that if I want to make use of that particular array kind of the data, definitely I have to import that particular array type also. Okay, now we are ready with our schema. Now the data is there, guys, and along with the schema also. And once you run through, okay, your data frame will be created with data and as well as the corresponding schema. And schema we are seeing, guys, this is a typical schema where just you can see here. Okay, so this particular schema, what it does is just have a look on this, guys. Let me paste in so that you can also research on this, the chart. Okay, right. So if you consider this particular thing, guys, just we are having the schema is like this. Earlier in all the cases, if I'm taking the schema, it's a pure, there is no hierarchy like first name string, middle name string, last name also string, DOB string. Like this, we are getting the schema. There is a little different format we can see here, guys. Name as it is the string type, of course. Languages at school. Language at school. So language at school, if you consider, this is the array type actually. So now this language at school, if I'm taking again, we are having the element as a subpart. That means element 0, element 1, element 2, like that we are having the indexes. Language at work also, it is showing another hierarchy, another path. Like there I'm having language at work. Okay, maybe they are some advanced languages. Okay, if you consider our company, maybe before joining to office, you may be having in your engineering, you might have studied C, CPP, Java, those kind of the languages. Whereas after joining our company, just will be giving trainings on Python and SQL, all these Hadoop, big data tools, along with the data engineering, machine learning kind of things. So if you look after the way how we are seeing the schema related to the array is bit distinct with the normal schema representation. Okay, current state and as well as the previous state. Now you see name, name of the persons, language at school. Maybe they are knowing Java, Scala and C++. This James guy. Michael knowing about Spark, Java and CPP. Robert knowing C Sharp and VB. So like that we are having the convention. There are language at work. Just I'm having Spark and Java, that efficiency I'm looking for, and Spark and Python. So these are all the things and current state and previous state. Okay. Now this name, of course, string type. Maybe there are multiple names like first name and middle name, but it's a full name kind of thing. But your language at school and language at work are different, guys. We cannot combine them. I can say James Smith, Michael Rose, Robert Williams, but I cannot combine Java, Scala, CPP. They should be individual. For those kind of the conventions, I can use the array type. Okay, just you can observe here array. This is also array. Whereas other things within that array, again, we are having the type of the element. At the outset, this particular major feature is the array. But again, internally, these things are nothing but the string type. Maybe if I'm having some sort of experience in each uh, language. Okay, maybe Java, he's having 5 years of experience. Scala may be having 3 years of experience. C++ may be having 9 years of experience. Those are all integer type, guys. So it may give the integer type. But here, as we are using Java, Scala, CPP, all are belonging to again, some text data. So just you refer those kind of the conventions accordingly. So this array type, okay, just I am making use of the convention like we need to import that array type. And earlier we have seen the split also. Just let us consolidate those things before talking about the Explode is very important, friends. Okay, because explode functionality is important. I'm saying, like we are having a string where I want to meaningfully split that particular string. Okay, so and in that particular case, just the explode is most important. And moreover, product wise sales if I want to take, or date wise scale or date wise sales if I want to display, in all those kind of the cases, just you can make use of this explode functionality. Now, so just let us think through like what we have seen in terms of array type and as well as the lit and column. So then we'll move ahead, guys. So because one by one we'll consolidate, otherwise entire things will integrate as a kind of thing. The another aspect we have seen is the split, where this particular split splits the uh, input data into words based on the delimiter, based on the delimiter. Next aspect is we have considered the COL of the column name. Okay, you can use either DF of column name or else DF dot column name. These things we can see call and lit. Okay, to add a literal or some constant value to the row or record, then you can use the lit. Now, just now we have seen the array type. This particular array type, same data type, set of same data type values. Okay, so this particular array type can be taken. And with respect to array, we are having the individual element also. This element might be either a string or whatever. Again, there is a distinction, guys. Group of strings forms the array, but still the individual element keeps its identity with the help of the data type. That is the most common consideration. Okay, now, so without any delay, just we'll move ahead to the further discussion of the explode. Be with me, guys. So, which really helps you to simplify your logics. Okay. Now, explode. Let us see what exactly the explode does in general. Uh, this explode is a function used to create a new row for each element in the given array column. Because it is similar to the split, but split is it is not having any logic, guys. Split is not having any logic. Simply based on your comma, based on your tab separated delimiter, just it is giving the words related to the statement. But our explode is bit logical, guys. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. Just run this aspect, guys, where let us see the documentation. Returns a new row for each element in the given array or map. Map is also there. Soon we'll see. Uses the default column name COL for elements in the array and key value for elements in the map unless specified. So if it is array, okay, just it is taking the COL. So COL of the one by one column. Whereas if it is the map, then key value pair as that of the dictionary kind of the thing. Now let us see first this example, guys. Just we are importing the row from Pyspark.sql and one data frame we are creating spark.create the data frame. Just a value int list 123 map field as key value. Just we are having AB. Now EDF.select of explode. What we are selecting is EDF dot initial list Okay, so 123 UDF dot 123 alias an integer collection. So now individually what we are doing guys, this selection, we are exploding this one, and this one is added with the alias name. Okay, an int one, second thing two, third thing three. So what I mean to say here is guys, just you observe here EDF dot select of explode of EDF dot map field. Map field is nothing but AB, key value pair, just like that it is. So at the outset, what this explode does is whatever the column information you are saying, the corresponding mapping value will be picked up by the explode. Now we are having a typical example where in our data set we are having the name, language at school, language at work, current state, and as well as the previous state. Now what we are doing here is guys, just along with the name, okay na? So just along with the name, I want to scope the language at school. I want to scope the language at school. Maybe like this guys. Maybe some 60 members are there in the class. All 60 members are given the Google form like this. Language, means Python, comma, C, comma, C++. But while comparing, I have to split that. Suppose there, he knows Python. Some other same XYZ member is there, he knows C++. Like that, I need to get the individual records. It's not like XYZ, all the three in a same array, and ABC, all the four languages in the same array. But my requirement is I should able to split this particular value, like James, if I'm giving, I should get James Java, James Scala, James C++. Like that, Michael, if I'm giving Michael Spark, Michael Java, and Michael CPP. Like Robert, if I'm talking C sharp, Robert C sharp, and Robert VB. So what that explode really does is just to take this guy's name as it is taking, and we're exploding the language at school. So how many times your name is replicating is 3 times based on the column you have specified in the explode. Actually 3 times James is getting repeated, 3 times Michael is getting repeated, only 2 times this guy Robert is going to repeat it. Now you have a look on this. Okay, James Smith Java, James Smith again Scala, James Smith CPP, three records. Again, Michael also repeated 3 times by mapping with Michael Row Spark, Michael Row Java, Michael Row CPP. So just these 3 records also repeated. So total 6. Now the last only C sharp and VB as language at school. So this Robert Williams repeated only twice. Okay, so the explode quite handy guys, because in a particular area, maybe the sales related to the products, but you want to get the individual products data, then explode of the corresponding products, then related to the product information, the area sales also will come, the area wise split also will come. So it is quite helpful in our implementations guys. Explode is a kind of the functionality where you can map the appropriate data items individually, record based or individual item based. Okay, item based kind of the things can be observed. Next thing is uh, we have seen already array type guys actually. So array type is something like in the struct field, generally in the development of the structure type, you can make use of the array type. But this particular array, which is similar properties, like we're having the same data type, but now the array function is used to create a new array column by merging the data from multiple columns. Your explode is something like splitting the merged columns, guys. But array, which is used to merge the appropriate columns information. Now, what we are trying to do is just we are importing this particular array. Okay, first I need to run this so as to get the documentation. Just if I am running array, just what it is doing is column or name, whatever the column name I'm having, I can give the tuple also. Okay, and creates a new array column. Just it is creating a new array column. And then if you consider the example, so just we are taking the array age, alias ARR and collect. Okay, so just this array, it is giving the outcome like age, 2 ages along with the corresponding alias name. And here df.select array of age and alias of this array. So the name of that particular outcome. Now let us understand this particular example, guys, in a better way with our schema. We are trying to fix up name and as well as the array of the current state and as well as the previous state. Now, if you go back to the data, we are having James Smith OH, Michael NY, Robert UT. Likewise, we're having the previous states also, current state and as well as the previous states. Now, after running this particular code, what I'm getting is just I'm giving the, not this one, guys, sorry. So just I'm giving the current state and as well as the previous state. And I want to combine these two. Like, over the period of the time, guys, after completion of the first year by the students, we want to add his earlier languages and his current languages. Maybe like this, assume that third year completed in 4-1, the companies are coming to the campus for the recruitment. And in that particular case, the appropriate placement officer should prepare the capabilities of that particular learners or students, maybe previous languages or up to third year, whichever the language they know. Then he has to merge all the previous and current. The same thing we are doing with the array. Then see here, your explode is opposite to the array. Explode, what it does is whatever the data item I'm having, it is splitting the data item into the units. Whereas your array is not like that. All the units will be combined into the one single list kind of thing. Now you see, just we are giving the name. Along with that, we are creating one array with the current state and as well as the previous state. This entire thing we are putting as an alias as states. Now you see name as it is, but our states earlier we are having the previous state and as well as the current state. Now I want to fix that particular thing into the common thing. Maybe like this, guys. The case study, let me connect here if I could. So if the person previous state and current state are different, then we need to give the uh, 28 or 30% HRA. If the person's previous state and current state are same, only we'll give the 15% HRA. Maybe the relocation cost or any kind of the support we require. So the point here is, friends, whatever the functionality, whatever the aspects we are doing, so just after combining, okay, this particular array gives that the previous and as well as the current information, which is giving us a complete picture. But whereas explode functionality is different. There, if I want to individually want to compare whether this guy is knowing Python or whether this guy is knowing VC++ or something. In those particular cases, your explode becomes quite handy. Whereas array is all the possibilities with the array are different, because array is something like which is used to merge the details. So I may be having some multiple information, and if I want to integrate this information as a single record, then it is always preferable to use the array. Now one more option, guys, here array contains. Yes, your assumption is correct. Whether this particular array contains whatever the data I'm having, just this particular data, whether this particular data is containing the required information. Because, guys, the point is after combining the data, it is again difficult because that is not the individual data now. It's not the individual data, it's a combined data. And if it is a combined data with the array, how can I get back whether that particular component is there or not? Because though I am combining, again I want to make use of that particular value in such a way that whether my required language, what I am looking for, maybe my resume is containing 5 to 10 different technologies, but they are looking for data scientist or data engineering kind of the roles. Those two must be there. Then only I'm going to shortlist those guys. Okay, though I am placing all the capabilities of my skill set knowledge, but still the companies or recruiting agencies are considering the keywords. Even in Naukri also, guys, if you observe Naukri or LinkedIn kind of the searching, there is some algorithm actually. So though your entire resume is there, and you can see nowadays in the Naukri kind of the mails also, at last the recruiter consider your profile, so you are getting this mail, and these are all the keywords where the recruiter search and found that these keywords are very much existing in your resume, so that you have been received this particular mail. Okay, this is how the algorithms are working. Friends, algorithms are not a rocket science according to me, because especially the computer science algorithms or all these Naukri, Facebook, Google PageRank algorithm, LinkedIn search, we should know that, guys, because if you are knowing what exactly the internal mechanism, because as a computer programmer, no matter whether that is a Python, Java, data engineering, data analyst, or machine learning, we should know the internal mechanisms, guys. Okay, if you are knowing that internal mechanism related to the algorithm, how it is working, then the perspective is different. Without knowing, just like that, I am using the construct, then there is no connect actually. You still unhappy. Okay, though coding wise you are okay, but functionality wise, what is the real usage? And if I'm not showing the demonstration on explode or array, if I'm just simply giving some kind of the context or without examples, you may not connect the dots, guys. So that I'm taking as much as possible the examples, and then we are trying to give some information related to that. Okay. Now, if you consider the array contains, SQL function is used to check if array column contains a required value, returns null if the array is null, and returns true if the array contains the value, and false if the array contains is not containing the value. Three options, guys. Null is related to the empty array. True is related to whether your particular data item is there or not. Your false is related to the array is containing data, but your required data is not there in the array. Now what we are doing is just we are having the from pyspark.sql.functions. We are getting the array contains. Let me show you the documentation. So array contains, just it is taking the column name and as well as the value. It is also belonging to the column type, and the collection function returns null if the array is null. Okay, returns null if the array is null. Array is not containing any data, then it is returning true if the array contains the given value. If it is just like if you are considering whatever the item, suppose if you are searching Pyspark, if your skill set is containing the Pyspark, maybe we can map you to the upcoming project. So true if the array contains the given value, and false otherwise. And if the value is not there, then it is becoming the false. Now the examples as usual, guys, just we are taking the value ABC. Sorry. So just you consider this, just I'm having the data frame ABC and empty array kind of thing, and df dot select array contains A. Then it is okay. If you are considering this particular A is true and it is containing the value, so that it is, and literal lit of A, and it is returning A true, because this particular A is available. So like that we can able to perform the activities. Now coming to our scenario, what we are doing is, guys, here just we are using the typical select statement, and we are printing the name of the corresponding employees. Along with that, array contains df dot language at school, because this array contains is taking two arguments. One is the column name. Your column name is here you consider the column name as language at school, language at work, but I want to take the language at school, and whether that particular language at school is having Java. Okay, so that I need not give the training for them. Okay, because if the corresponding language is not there, then only I need to give the training for them. Otherwise, I can directly give the project based approach to them. Now alias name array contains. So now if you see this guy's name as it is printed, full name, And array contains df.language at school because we are having df.language at school for each member as Spark Java and Spark Python. So for the first two members, we can able to get the Java, and third members Python. Third member is not there in the list. So now if you consider this particular thing, the array contains returns the true or false values as first two records having the Java as their language at school, so that it is returning true for James Smith and also true for Michael. But for Robert Williams, we are getting the false because that Java is not there in the curriculum of the language at school. Okay, so this is how you can refer. Okay, the usage of your explode functionality, and then we have seen some array, and now we are seeing the array contains. Let me consolidate these things, friends. Otherwise, there are certain things we need to cover then and there. Okay, right. Now the other options we have seen is explode is one of the thing. Uh, Explode. What it does, split the corresponding set of values into individual uh, individual values by generating generating records by generating the records. Now, for example, explode if I am taking along with the name, comma, explode of technologies or languages. Now A, B, and as well as C. Just we can A may be repeated twice, Java and Python, and here B also C++ like that. Okay, the original data might be like this: A, Java, comma, Python, whereas B, C++. Now, if I am applying the explode, then obviously we'll be getting this kind of thing. And after the explode, we are having the array. This is different, guys. Whereas I want to combine or I want to merge the individual elements into a common field, then we can use array. We can use the array. That is one thing, guys. So, for example, I'm having the original data like this: A, uh, some kind of the previous as Java, current as Python, individual B, C, current as Spark, C, maybe again Java, current we are using Scala, assume that. Language 1 and language 2. Now, if I am saying name, comma, array of L1, comma, L2. So now your outcome is like this: A, Java, Python as a common array, B, C++, Spark, C, Java, Scala. Okay, so array is a merger process, guys. Actually, it just merges the corresponding individual entry. And the next aspect we covered is array contains. So there are three options actually. Null, if your array is null, array is empty. True, if the value you are looking up or your lookup is there in the array. False, if the value is not there in the array. So likewise, we have seen some other aspects. We are moving ahead with the understanding of the map, which is quite interested, guys. Okay, now you see you can realize that, oh, these many things simply we are getting with our existing knowledge. That is what, guys, the power of learning. Okay, maybe initially you may feel, oh, these many things. Na. So far we have covered, see how many aspects. Let a have a glance. UDF we have covered. Second format of the UDF at the rate we have seen. And then we talked about some sort of the LIT and COL. And then we discussed that split function. And thereafter the array type. Okay, now after the array type, just we have seen the explode. And then we have seen array. Now we are talking about the array contains. Okay, one by one, just we have going. Now the map type. Um, so this map type is like, guys, just what we are observing here. Just let me give you this convention, guys, what exactly the map type is, or else I can do this, na? So like directly, yeah, we run through. Hmm. Here, not this one actual map type, yeah. Just I'm taking the array type. Hmm. Simple, there is no much distinction. Have a look on this, guy. Just I'm having the array data with the name of the corresponding member, languages known, and properties. Properties may be like this, guys. Maybe identification marks are there, na? Here and I. And here name of the corresponding member, languages known, uh, and then properties. And suppose if I'm not knowing any property, I can put none. That value is unknown. So just I am putting none. And for the robot also, there are certain none values are there, certain empty values are there. Okay, C sharp empty and here just red, and I color we have not received, so that we left with empty. And now the just we are making use of the other convention of the robot. Just we are giving that where he located all the properties. Okay. Now with this, just we are having a typical array data and we are running through the data frame. After generation of the data frame, we pretty know that what exactly we are having. Now you see, guys, name. Known languages means uh, Java, Scala, Spark, Java, like that. This is the array type. So we are pretty know that. And within that array type, again, we are having elements as a string. But guys, this properties is a map type actually. So let us understand the property. In your data, suppose if you are working with array type or whatever, it is looking like a dictionary only, friends. If you consider your Python dictionary, your map is very similar to your key value pair. So here is a key and black, that color black is the value. I is a key and brown color is a value. So for if you are using this kind of the convention, just I can Pyspark easily observes that properties belongs to the map. Your key is a string type and your value is also string type. And maybe if this some of the times the values we are not giving, Just to see here, we are not giving some value. So the property of this particular map, just we are considering this map value as value contains null. Value contains null. Now, once you create this data frame, guys, map explicitly we are not using. Only the thing is, while creating the data frame, if you want to handle those kind of the conventions. Okay, so now you see here name and known languages. This we pretty know array type, but the properties which are belonging to the map, see how it is displaying, especially the last statement. Okay, so just if you are making use of truncate, why it is taking, yeah. So just I can get the entire data items. Okay, so see here, I brown, hair black, I because no value is there null, hair is brown, and here I we have left that value, hair is red, and for this null, and this is the empty dictionary or empty map kind of thing. So here the point is, guys, just in your data frame design, if you are referring to something like key value pair, and if at times you may want to maintain your convention in such a way that just I want to mention some of the properties in terms of key value pair. Maybe I'm having like this project name, the corresponding skill set required, and project client and location, and project budget and number of resources required. So such kind of key value pairs, it is always handy, quite handy if I'm using the map kind of the things. Okay, so that is how you can make use of the conventions related to the map. Now there is one more option or extension with the explode, friends. Explode, if you remember, just now we have seen explode is a functionality where if multiple values are there, it is going to split into the individual records at a high level understanding that I can say. Now what we are doing is just again we are referring back to that explode, and this time the properties I want to split. Maybe if I'm coming to the James, uh, I'm exploding the properties. Obviously James I and James Hair, right? That multiple records should be there. In case of the Michael also, I should be separated with Hair. Separated in the sense record wise, guys. Okay. So now if you are referencing this data frame, actually our requirement is see here data frame 3. We are selecting the name of the person and as well as the properties. Uh, Now print schema is as usual, print schema name, key, and as well as the value, because even though you are not explicitly mentioning the schema, but while referring this df3, obviously this properties becomes like this, guys. Key value. Okay, key value and the name string, key string, and value also string. Now key should not be nullable. Maybe value, if it is not available, you can leave that, but key cannot be null. That is one of the important point, guys. Key cannot be null. If you are not giving key, how do we refer that? How do you map that value? Value may be null or value may be empty. If it is not available, I can take that. Now let us see the power of this explode. I am getting the name, of course, and properties, guys, here as we have seen, I and as well as the hair are two properties of the James. These two properties we are getting I and hair. For the Michael, we are having two properties, I and hair. Again, we are getting for the Michael also two records we are getting. But for Robert, only I is empty and hair is there. Two properties here also. I is empty and hair. But now the next thing, guys, these last two records were not replicated because they are not having the mapping values or original values. So it is left over. So in terms of the simple, guys, here you are using the map. Map is something like which is giving us some sort of the key value pair understanding. And if you are applying explode on top of the map, and whichever the map functionality contains key value pair, and at least key should be there. Value may be empty also, never mind. But if the appropriate map is empty, then explode is not going to return the values. Explode is not going to return the values. Okay, so this is one more option we need to consider. Let us consolidate those things, friends, because after this thing we are having the explode outer, all these things, bit some more interesting aspect, so that let us come up with the understanding of the map and explode your map, which gives the key value based data type, and then we're having the explode on top of the map. Returns the split of records where each record is a key value, where like this, not each record, split of records is key value based. So that means data key, data value, like this will be getting. Okay, now apart from this explode, we are having one more option, guys, so which is very, very important and handy for our implementations. Just have a look on this. So our next thing is explode outer. Okay, we know outer join or all these kind of the conventions. Now let us have a look on the documentation before seeing the results. Explode outer, it is only taking the column information, returns a new row for each element in the given array or map. Friends, here array is nothing but merger actually. Okay, your array is nothing but the merger. Just it is combining the previous and current kind of thing. Or map returns a new row for each element. That means if array is containing four records, if your map is containing key value pairs, just corresponding key value pair. Again, we are talking unlike explode, if the array or map is null or empty, then null is produced. Okay, friends, here see, unlike explode, your explode is see it is leaving the things actually. Okay, explode of this thing actually. But whereas unlike explode, if the array or map is null or empty, then null is produced commonly. Uses the default column name COL for the elements in the array and key value for the elements in the map unless specified otherwise. But very clear documentation, guys. That's what I like it. Use the default column name COL. If you are using the array type of the data, just COL is the by default. You need not worry about the alias. Whereas if if the source is map, then it is key value pair for the elements. Just it is picking up that value. Now let us see the outcome here. We are taking the explode outer. Two options now. One is with array and another is with the map. Both the things we'll see. How I am doing this thing is I'm selecting the name of the corresponding person. Explode outer of the df dot known languages is known languages. Long back we have seen known languages. Maybe language at school or language at work, whatever. So known language is something like we have created with the array, maybe combination of all those things. Now, what we are doing is, guys, just we are making use of, let us come down. Yeah, df dot known languages explode outer. So James is knowing Java and Scala. Michael is knowing Spark Java. And third thing null, however, we have seen. And Robert C sharp and Robert Washington null, and two more guys are there because at the moment you are making use of this particular data items, just it is giving the column name 1 comma 2 1 2 like that. Okay, whatever the column values we are having. So though if you consider this example, guys, Washington actually null, as it is mapping explode outer. Okay, null. Whereas the other guy 1 comma 2, actually these are all not the languages, but it is mapping that. It is not leaving that, guys. Just it is mapping that array. But whereas with map, if I am doing with array, this is the outcome. With map, we always provide the key value pair. From the documentation also we have seen. Again, go back to the documentation. Uh, Returns a new row. This is okay. And if your source data is array, then it is giving the call COL. You can see that if your source data is map, then it is giving the key value. Now you simply observe here, guys, the COL, and here I am having the key value. So James, just where how we are doing the things is here we are selecting the df name dot df known languages. Here I am taking the properties actually. Explode outer of the properties. Explode outer of the properties. Just each and every name along with the key value pair. Okay, just it is getting all the conventions. Okay, so that is how you can work with the explode outer and post explode, guys. This is something like, okay, just I am leaving as a task to you. However, I will be sharing this document with you guys in terms of the array. Just it is giving the position of the corresponding explode. The post explode, how it works is just after exploding the values, just it is giving the position also. Okay, like you click on this, returns a new row for each element with position in the array. That is what you call the post explode. Okay, POS explode, which is taking the column name along with the column information. If that is the array, just it is giving a 0th index or first index like that. But we are very curious about the with map actually. With map also same. If it is a key value pair, na obviously 0, 1. And in this case, there may be a possibility of second 0, 1, 2 also. But whereas in terms of the key value pair, just we're having key and value, just it is giving that kind of the convention. Okay, and before taking the break, one more option is there, guys. Select expression. Just I'm explaining this thing. The select expression is a function of the data frame that is similar to the select option. The difference is to it takes the set of SQL expressions in a string. In the string format it takes. This gives the ability to run SQL like expressions without creating temporary table and views. Friends, we pretty know that if I want to run the Spark SQL, see, just I'm running that comment. So, okay. So just we need to run this code. And if you are making use of select expression, guys, you need not create the table. On top of the data frame itself, you can apply the Spark SQL. Whereas without select expression, if you want to work with the Spark SQL, definitely we have to create a temporary view. On top of that particular table only, you are going to get the confirmation or get the appropriate SQL. Okay, but now with the select expression, okay, I'm having the date information, guys. Quite interesting case study this is. Just we have created the schema date and increment of the corresponding member, and increment date may be 1 month. The member who joined in date this thing 2 and 9 maybe 3. Okay, so already 1 month over like that we are having. Now you see just what we are doing here is just we are running a query, select expression date comma increment, add months to date of. Okay, we are having date, year, month. Na? Just we are picking up only date information from this and increment as integer as increment date. So we are creating the alias name. Either you can create the alias or else as also. As is quite familiar to us na? With the SQL also. Alias we are using as kind of thing. Now you see, guys, here based on the date actually. So 2019 123 increment 1, the same value we are putting up 2 and as well as the 3, and the corresponding increment date is he need to wait 1 month so as to get the increment, and this guy need to wait 2 months so as to reflect the increment, and this guy get the increment after 3 months. Okay, because based on their joining date maybe. And similarly here expression and as well as the COL rather than using the select expression. You could have observed this thing, guys. If I'm making use of the documentation, projects a set of SQL expressions and returns a new data frame. This is a variant of the select that accepts the SQL expressions. Now you see directly I'm making use of the date and increment, add months and directly without using any options. Whereas the same thing if I want to perform without expression based on the column and as well as the expr, that is also possible. Just I'm taking the select statement directly here, select expression. I need not give any column, but in the select I should give either df or column information, and your select expression as it is computing these values. So add months, all these kind of the things. But whereas your expression, I'm using the alias and all the other typical data frame orientation. Up to this is common, guys. So just I'm taking the to date and converting that particular date into the integer. But here there is no as kind of thing as that of the select expression, but we are having the expression specification. Okay, so this is how you can see the orientation of these things. And let me complete what we have discussed, so that after the break, just we can start with the other things. Okay, we can complete these aspects where I have stopped map. After map, we have seen the explode also, explode outer and POS explode. And then now we are seeing the select expression. Okay, so let me conclude that so that we can have a break, guys. Ah, so just you see here, and then we have seen the explode outer and POS explode. As the name implies, just along with that position also we are getting select expression. This select expression is nothing but um, where I am observing the SQL statements. Okay, so SQL kind of the syntax directly without creating the without creation of table or view. And other option we have seen, guys, some COL comma expr, where these things again come to the typical data frame implementation. Okay, so just we will have a break, guys. Once the break is over, just I will try to connect the dots between the big data and Pyspark, because generally people consider this Pyspark also one of the component of the big data. How come it is that statement is true? So just we'll try to justify that. Okay, and if any other discussions as per the requirement, we can do that also. So just let me start the timer as usual. Share this, guys.